Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Hold one, arm drag.
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list.
Oh my God!
Sorry, no speak English.
Dummy. Goodbye and good night. Hold two, arm bar.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Dummy.
This is the worst town I've ever been in.
Hold three, Lamas covers, three-handle family gradunzel.
Mamma mia!
And now, Unchained.media presents the B Plus Podcast with your host, Greg Unchained.
It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
Number 4, armbar.
I will never retire!
I still got 200 more. I got 200 more holes to list.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the B Plus Wrestling Podcast. I am your man of mystery, Mr. Mysterious here, and we are going to be talking about all the rest, everything with an asterisk that doesn't fit into our scheduled programming. Wednesday, we have our Kings of the Sport Universe podcast. Friday, we have our Aussie Grats, where we talk about all things Australian wrestling. And Saturday, View from the WWE Universe. But today is not that day. Today, you're going to listen to me, Mr. Mysterious here, talking about all the stuff in the land of MLW, the land of WWE, and all the hot news that's just going to come across our desk and to share with you and the rest of the world. For those of you guys who are still unaware, I am your main news contributor on the Facebook page. Please like us. Please follow us on Facebook and all the socials. We really appreciate it, guys. And also, I keep you guys up to date with all the birthday news. At the time I'm recording, we should give a happy 38th birthday to the Glamazon, Beth Phoenix, former Divas champion, former women's champion, and interestingly enough, the fact that she was in the Hall of Fame last year, the class of 2017, she has got the distinct honor of being the first ever Hall of Fame, as being part of the first ever Hall of Fame couple, of course, because she is married to the Rated R superstar Edge. Sorry, I should probably get the Rated R superstar. I think that's how it is. But so guys, we have a lot of stuff to cover today, so I'm going to try and it's going to be a task to keep this all condensed. But we will start, as we always do, with Major League Wrestling, episode 31, main evented by the Chicago Street Fight between Filthy Tom Lawler and the Mercenary, Sami Callihan. So we open up this MLW recapping from the last episode where Low-Ki ripped at Darga's cauliflowered ears. You can watch the match on YouTube for free, but I was going to say that you can watch the match for free on YouTube and you don't see much blood. So it's not a graphic representation of what happened, but nevertheless, a lot of blood from last week. So we cut to the backstage where Conan is being confronted by Low-Ki, Selena, and Ricky Martinez, aka Promociones Dorado. They are just rubbing salt into the wounds of Conan from last week, saying, you asked for this, you should have left us alone, all this stuff. And interestingly enough, Low-Ki confronts Conan, and he says that we should just settle this like we should have at the very start. Low-Ki versus Conan. Now, I was not a fan of this confrontation to start off the show because Conan quite logically, quite rightly said, I haven't been training, I haven't had a wrestling match in nearly a decade, well, technically about 5 years, but we'll not go there. He's saying how I haven't been training, what good would it do for you to face me, all this stuff, yada, 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 I'm way past my prime. But then they do the thing where they call him chicken. They just say a few things in Espanol, and they pretty much say that he repeats no, but that if Loki keeps running his mouth, then he'll end up saying yes. So, what are you doing, Conan? You're Marty McFlying us. Like, you just said that you were long out of your prime. What good would this do? But we will follow this up as we continue on. So next we have a promo with Filthy Tom Lawler preparing for the Chicago street fight. He's got his colleague Simon Gotch helping him out, telling him about just all this exciting stuff that he's got planned for him, and that is a press conference. So Simon Gotch is thinking about way after the match between Sami Callihan, and Tom Lawler is, I don't have time for this, and rightfully so. So now we cut to our first match of the day. We have Ricky Martinez going up against Dr. Rex Brackus. Now I feel like this gentleman was a jobber with an interesting name like that. I just feel like I can't remember him from any of the other shows. But interestingly enough, so Ricky Martinez comes to the ring. Selena's already in the ring, so she doesn't escort Ricky to the ring, which is a little bit disheartening because I'm used to that with all the Promociones Dorados entrances on MLW every week. But he comes out and he's got a face mask, shades of dashing Cody Rhodes, the old face mask from the late 2000s there. And yeah, that becomes a main point because Martinez, of course, suffered a broken nose against the Puma King a couple weeks ago. And he uses that to his advantage pretty much. So he's dominating for the most part of the match. Backus does get a little bit of momentum in. He's able to get a few licks in. But ultimately, yeah, Ricky Martinez wins with a modified pile driver. We will see if we see the Doctor back again in the land of MLW. I don't know. He had an interesting look about him. We will see. But yeah, this is all just to reinforce the fact that Promociones Dorado are not to be messed with, and that they are riding high after Loki successfully defended his championship against Daga. So now we have another match here with Joey Ryan and Swoggle making the form of Size Matters going up against the Filthy Blondes. Yay! I have been talking about the Filthy Blondes for a long time. It feels like we haven't seen them in months and months and months. So Michael, Patrick, and Leo Bryan. Interestingly enough, though, one of the Dirty Blondes calls himself Loverboy. Now, why he calls himself Loverboy, it was mentioned by the commentary team, Tony Schiavone, not with Matt Striker, thankfully enough. Like, people think I'm probably griping against Matt Striker, but honestly, I feel like Tony Schiavone and, of course, Rick and Rich Bacchini, like, they are a really harmonious voice to MLW, and I don't know, something when Matt Striker's on, it kind of feels off, right? But yeah, what I was going for, there's only one Loverboy, sir, and that's Loverboy Lockie Hendricks here in Australia, so do not call yourself the Loverboy. There is only one Loverboy. That kind of triggered me a little bit. But we come out, before the match started with Size Matters and the Dirty Blondes, Joey Ryan came out with his arm in a sling. Now, this is the recorded episode. We mentioned this on All The Rest a few weeks ago, where Joey Ryan has to undergo pectoral surgery, potentially, but he came to the ring to help out Swoggle here in Chicago. Like, interesting enough, if you watch this match, and if you watch Joey Ryan on the mic, now he's great as a heel, but he seemed very uncomfortable during this. Now, granted, he's talking about his health at one stage, but when he's talking to the crowd, it seems like he was really unsure how to talk. He seemed like he was really going for the cheap pops. He even acknowledged saying that, I'm not trying to go for the cheap pops, but he kept saying Chicago, Chicago, Chicago. Like, did I mention Chicago? Like, he was just kept trying to get those last bits of activity, like those last bits of energy from the crowd. So, I don't know, it felt a little bit strange. Of course, naturally, Joey Ryan, we wish you all the very best, but you just seemed a little bit out of sorts during that match, like before that match. And of course, so you have a guy in a sling, guy with a arm in a sling, and you have Swoggle, who is, of course, a smaller gentleman, going up against the fresh team of the Dirty Blondes. Now, you could have played into this a lot more with the fact that Joey Ryan is the king of dong style, damn it. I would have loved to have seen, you could have done the penis plex, you could have done like his classic atomic drop spot, you know, you could have done a whole bunch of stuff, but they've really limited how much Joey was doing in the ring, and they left the majority of the match to Swoggle, which you can have a few good moments with Swoggle, right? But at the same time, you want to, if you're going to go all out crazy, like with the fact that Joey Ryan's arm is literally in a sling, you could have gone for hilarious, you could have gone just for a completely bombastic match, but it didn't end up being there, and I'm a little bit disheartened. So, it was a pretty basic match. So, Swoggle, he was able to land a few German suplexes, right? And, of course, when he tagged in Joey Ryan came in with a sweet tooth music. 1, 2, 3. Size matters wins in unconvincing fashion, but okay. It was a fun match. Tadpole splash. You know, I was pretty happy with it, more or less. And, of course, after the match, Joey Ryan takes to the mic again, and he takes off his arm sling to show the really bad pectoral bruise that he's got. It looks pretty ugly. Of course, not as ugly as the photos from Triple H's pectoral tear at Crown Jewel. But the way he did it as well, saying it looks pretty serious. And if nothing else, one of the things I did like about it was the fact that he kind of just said, well, at least I have my dick. And, you know, like, of all the things that Joey Ryan could have said after the match, yeah, the King of Dong Star kind of sold it with me from that. Like, despite the match not being great and the fact that the Dirty Blondes, after months of no-go with them, they have this match which is just against Joey Ryan and Swoggle. But after all that, when Joey Ryan just kind of just said, you know, at least I still have my dick, I was okay with it. You know, I was just like, okay, we'll move right along. Now, we cut to the backstage area, and Conan has dwelled over Loki's words from earlier in the day, and he has said he's going to come out of retirement. So the news broke that Conan will accept Loki's challenge at MLW 0 Hour on December 14th, no disqualification match for the MLW Heavyweight Championship. Conan, come on, man. Of course, like, his last match was back in September 2013 when he teamed with El Mariachi and Cafu to defeat Oliver John, Derek Sanders, and Vaquero Fantasma in a 6-man tag match, that was billed as Conan's final match, right? Now, granted, this is a good way to go as well, I think. The fact that, of course, MLW 0 Hour takes place in Conan's hometown, no disqualification match, so he can get a few licks in there. But, just Conan, you're good. Let sleeping dogs lie, man. This is a bit unfortunate for me. I would have rather just, like, Conan stuck to his guns and just said, look, I'm out. You know? It seems a little bit silly to me. But we keep going. So we have a video package, of course, hyping the debut of Rush in a few weeks' time. The leader of Los Ingobernables. I feel like I've mispronounced it. I do apologize. And we have the previews for next week. We have the rematch. The rematch between Swerve Shane Strickland going up against the World Heavyweight Champion Low Ki. So we have Swerve in the backstage area. Some of the interviewers, who are dead in the eyes, by the way, from last week, tries to interview Swerve, but he's got his earphones in and he completely blows off the interviewer backstage. Now, seems rude, and of course it seems like they're slowly leading to a heel turn with him. But honestly, if you guys saw last week where they just completely, out of the blue, after Low Ki literally ripped off Darga's ear, they came out, wow, that was great. What do you have to say to Filthy Tom Lawler? It seemed so forced, and I will not stress that point enough. Damn it. But okay, now we cut to the main event between Filthy Tom Lawler and Sami Callihan, a Chicago street fight. Before the bell even started, these guys started going at it. Right down the entrance ramp as Tom Lawler came to the ring, he beckoned Callihan to fight him. Kendo sticks came out, garbage cans, ring barricades, chairs, a fan sign. Of course, like in the crowd, everyone's just here. You hear some people going, "Use my sign, use my sign," which of course Tom Lawler did. And of course, so Sami Callihan at one stage he used it to do the mouth spot, the paper cut mouth spot that people usually do in hardcore matches now. Still ugly, still a bit cringy. The paper cut spots still just make me unnerved. And yeah, they even brought tables out. This was a good, solid Chicago street fight. You can tell that they are protecting Tom Lawler so much, but at the same time, he can sell, and he is built for punishment. Of course, being a former MMA star, the guy knows how to, if nothing else, he seems to have transitioned to the land of professional wrestling really well. Right. Because he had his match against Swerve a couple weeks ago as well. Swerve dominated for most of that match as well, and of course, Sami here is leading the match for the most part, because Tom Lawler, he'd get some great spots in. He'd have a few really good... he'd pull off a few really good moves. He did a really awesome choke bomb in the middle of the ring at one stage. I was really happy with how that turned out. So Callihan was, of course, constantly throughout the match, Tom Lawler's trying to put in his patented chokehold, and Callihan keeps trying to jump out of it. So Callihan even attempted to use a piece of the broken bat. Now, this was an awesome spot, because Sami Callihan has his trusted bat that he brings to the ring. Tom Lawler grabs it, breaks it over his knee. Now, I like the fact that they just kind of broke the illusion that it's metal. I don't know, something about that just really made me smile, you know? Because no one mentioned it. No one's mentioned saying, like, oh, that wooden bat or that metal bat. They've left it up in the air. And the only way we're only going to find out is if Tom Lawler literally broke it over his knee, which was awesome. I love you. I love you. Team Filthy, man. Team Filthy. Let's keep this going. But yeah, so what happened was, to end the match, Tom Lawler won by jabbing a piece of the broken bat into Callihan's neck and then lock in the chokehold. So that got pretty intense towards the end. And yeah, Tom Lawler won with the submission victory and gets his revenge against Sami Callihan for a couple weeks ago. It's not a fairy tale ending though, unfortunately, as backstage, Tom Lawler, like Simon Gotch is helping Tom Lawler backstage, saying that you deserve what's going to happen to you. Like, this press conference is going to be amazing. And he leads him into supply closet, essentially. And who is waiting for him but all the Promociones Dorado? Low-key looking like a boss. Like, watch this clip. Watch the clip of Simon Gotch betraying Tom Lawler, because the way that Low-key kind of standing, like, I don't know, I'm marked out at that. But yeah, Simon Gotch closes the door. You hear Tom Lawler screaming, and you hear all these shots against the door while Simon Gotch is just looking there all sadistic. It's that mustache, man. It's that mustache. Never trust the stash. So that's how he ended with Why Gotch Why. I had a good time with MLW episode 31. This Chicago street fight, it went really well. I mean, what were they going to do? Use cinder blocks? We're going to be talking about that real soon. But I had a lot of fun with this episode of MLW. Of course, episode 32, we're going to be having Simon Gotch explaining himself. You've got the rematch, of course, between Swerve and Low-Key. Koto Brazil will be going up against Trey Miguel. And apparently the Hart Foundation are going to be in the house dropping truth bombs. Anything with the Hart Foundation is simply gold. Teddy Hart, I will never stop professing my love to you, sir, when it comes to MLW. So, really happy with how all this turned out, guys. So, before we cut to the wacky world of wrestling over in WWE and all over the globe, let us cut to our producer extraordinaire, Greg Unchained, as he talks about our latest sponsor.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Sorry to interrupt the podcast, B Plus players, but I just need to take a second to tell you about Threadbox. Threadbox is a subscription service for men that makes looking good easier than ever before. Just fill out a few questions to start building your style profile, and from there you will be paired with a stylist who will send you new threads once a month, so you don't have to worry about checking the stores and finding new clothes. It's like having a personal shopper and stylist at your fingertips, and you just sit back, relax, wait for your awesome new gear to arrive in the mail. They sent me a box this month. I got a new pair of jeans. I got 2 shirts. You can check out the unboxing video on the Facebook page. And the best part about it is you can get in touch with your stylist by email at any time. So if you need new singlets, if you need new long sleeves, if you need new shoes, if there's something specific you want, you just let them know what you need and they'll tailor the box to your specific requests. It's a completely personalized service available on any budget. You'll always get way more value than you pay for because Threadbox work with all the best brands. Boxes start from just $40, and if you use our code, the B+15 at checkout today, you're going to get 15% off your first box. So what are you waiting for, man? Like, if you want to look better with less effort, head to threadbox.com.au and use the code the B+15 to get your box today.
And we are back, guys. Now, I'm going to have a nice transition from MLW to WWE because a lot of stars are apparently leaving MLW and potentially maybe joining WWE. Still rumors at this point, according to Dave Meltzer of KK Wrestling Journalist Jesus. But it's worth mentioning, of course, we've got names like ACH, Shane Swerve Strickland, Trevor Lee, and the last real man, Silas Young. Now, according to PW Insider, WWE is reportedly looking to sign a lot of these former Ring of Honor, current MLW stars, especially ACH in particular, who's been working the indies, and trying to bring him back. Like, of course, they tried to bring him in, but the talk kind of went nowhere with Ring of Honor, I should say. And yeah, the speculation is that he'll be part of a big class of new talent in January for WWE. So, of those names, I'm really disheartened to see that Swerve is going to be finishing with, supposedly, Swerve is finishing his stint with MLW with the company next month. Apparently, his last scheduled shows are the 2-night Fusion tapings on the 13th or 14th of December. So, when they get released, it'll probably be around about the start of 2019. Man, we've been really building up to this heel turn with Swerve, right? And we've only got a few more episodes to really pull home the fact that Swerve is what? We've been building up to the fact that he's been missing tapings, right? He's been no-going interviews. He's not talking to people. His mind solely on just bringing the gold back to his waist. I don't know. Like, I am really sad that Swerve, it feels like he's a big part of MLW. And, of course, he'd be a great addition to WWE. Please, like, if he's going to WWE, if the rumors are true, send him straight to SmackDown. Don't make him go through NXT and everything else, especially with Matt Riddle in NXT. Work up to that because, of course, to crown the inaugural MLW Heavyweight Champion, Shane Swerve Strickland defeated the King of Bros, Matt Riddle. And I want Matt Riddle to have a successful NXT run. And then when he gets moved up to the main roster, maybe it'll be Raw, maybe it'll be SmackDown. And who will he be met with? Swerve. That will be intense. Right? Start of the year, 2019. Swerve in WWE land. I'm all for that. Of course, if you guys have seen Lucha Underground, where he was Killshot, and just indie star in general, Swerve is a really great talent. Of course, naturally, ACH, Swerve, Silas Young, Trevor Lee, all these guys, if they land in WWE land, some of these guys again, of course, with Silas Young, of course, having a brief stint in Heat, you know, they would be great talents to add to the roster. But it looks like MLW might not be too fussed about some of their talent leaving because supposedly they are looking for big things in the future. The promotion CEO and, of course, a former WWE writer, Court Bauer, announced on Twitter that a blockbuster deal, Cody Fingers, has been sealed and that they are closing out the year making history. Now, they have not said exactly what they're talking about. Now, could this be a big event? Could this be a really big signing from WWE going over to MLW? Personally, what I think, it might be like a big TV deal, like a big Netflix worldwide deal, because at the moment, MLW is free on YouTube and, of course, available on Fight TV. So subscribe to their YouTube channel, or if you're part of Fight TV, look into it as part of your package with Fight TV. But, like, of course, getting that, the fact that these guys do these tapings, and they are not a big promotion. They are like, just, if you want to think of it as how the international platforms of the other promotions, you're looking at WWE, of course, is at the top in terms of platforms, not, of course, of wrestling ability, which is neither here nor there. You've got Impact, which I feel, you've got Impact, you've got New Japan, which are kind of on the same footing. I would put New Japan higher. Then you've got Lucha, and you've kind of got MLW just underneath that. So it's around about in that top 5 still. So MLW is doing really well for itself, and I would love to see more MLW on our screens, right? Maybe they could push MLW to 1.5 hour episodes, or maybe even 2 hours. Things like that. The fact that they could actually have this TV deal where they could showcase their talents to a wider audience, or the fact that they could do even more things with what they've got. I am really looking forward to that, guys. So we will cut to the land of WWE, and we have a lot of injuries updates. Who has gotten themselves into the injury ICU here? Probably still in there at the moment, Alexa Bliss. So WWE had Alexa Bliss undergo some more concussion tests, naturally, before Survivor Series. She was the captain of the Raw Women's Survivor Series team, and it looks like she still has been cleared to go back to in-ring competition. Of course, the last we've seen her wrestle was around about late October. So since her status is kind of still up in the air, there's been rumors. You never know. There's been rumors that following the TLC match in December, Bliss could end up as the permanent Raw general manager. Now, naturally, this kind of leads into my next topic here, because Braun Strowman as well has been confirmed that on the past Raw, he actually is dealing with a pretty bad elbow injury. It was reported initially after Raw that he had snapped's not the right word, that he shattered his elbow. But we've got all these extra reports now that he is actually dealing with that, and will likely be out of action for about a month's time. So this angle was done to cover up bone spurs in Braun's elbow that require surgery, and of course, to prevent him aggravating it further, the doctors determined that surgery should be required right after Survivor Series, so that he's able to get it out of the way before WrestleMania, whatever decisions they make with that. So WWE TLC is not too far away, guys. So I don't know whether... So, of course, Braun Strowman is meant to be facing against Constable Baron Corbin, and if Braun Strowman were to win that match, then Corbin would be stripped of his general manager position, his acting general manager position, I should say, which was initially filled by Kurt Angle, who has been taken on leave and all that. And yeah, if he's able to pull through and face off against Corbin, and he wins, which he should, then Raw has a vacant general manager position. And I'm not opposed to Paige. I'm not opposed to Alexa Bliss being the Raw general manager. I think the fact that you have Alexa on Raw and Paige on SmackDown, I could see a bit of rivalry happening there. I would kind of like that, of course. Like two polar opposites and kind of representations of both brands. And it seems, of course, we're kind of acknowledging now that the general manager positions, this is, of course, accepted in the independent circles and everywhere else, but that how general manager, commissioner positions, they're usually reserved for people who former stars or injured stars who still want to be an active part of the roster, still want to be involved. And when they finally feel that their health and their fitness and athleticism is in the right place that it should be, they renounce their power and they join the wrestling roster again. So now it's happened with Daniel Bryan. It won't happen with Paige. Paige is unfortunately naturally, never say never, but they gave that position to Paige after Daniel Bryan, which is awesome. Baron Corbin's had his fair share of injury issues, and it seems like he's okay to go back into the ring. And who knows, Alexa Bliss could be general manager for a few months, and then we have the position open again for yet another superstar. After Bliss, like, if she recovers, I hope she recovers. I do want the general manager position to go to someone who's actually trying to be a general manager, not a former wrestler. Of course, like someone like your Eric Bischoffs, like one of those guys who is not going to be a wrestler. Like, I just want a managerial figure that will lead the company. So I'm all for Alexa Bliss, and of course, get well soon, Alexa. Get well soon, Braun. Man, we've been talking about Braun for a while. Of course, there were rumors about his knees being messed up. There talks about backstage heat in terms of every time they try and push him that he doesn't have the right attitude. I don't know. Come on, guys. Best of luck to you. And moving on to the more injury news, I mentioned MLW before, and sadly, Mr. Fun Size, Marko Stunt, has suffered a bad break in his leg last week in Los Angeles for Joey Janela's LA Confidential. He went through a gnarly-looking Canadian destroyer on the outside of the ring, and of course, the match had to end at that point, and he was rushed to the emergency room to undergo surgery. Damn. Like, if you have been following MLW, and if you've been following Marko Stunt as part of that, he's only had a couple matches. He was scheduled to do a couple tapings in the next couple weeks. Whether they've already been done or he was meant to do them for MLW 0 Hour still is a bit up in the air. I feel like he hasn't done them yet, which is sad because he's only had a couple matches to showcase the fact that he can sell like a mother, and he has a great moveset for a Cruiserweight 205 Live division that he uses his opponent's momentum against them. Really sad to hear about this one. Marko Stunt, please get well soon, man. We've only just tasted what you are capable of. Of course, granted, the guy's still in his early 20s. He has a long career ahead of him. Best of luck to you, Marko Stunt. I'm going to roll right along with the injuries, guys, because it feels like at the moment, everyone's out, everything's up in the air, it's all chaos, and we are here to try and just keep it all together for you. But over in the land of the rising sun, Hiromu Takahashi, the former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, just an update on his status, of course, with wrestling journalist Jesus Dave Meltzer wrote in the Observer at the time that he got injured that the New Japan doctors believe that he would have been out for about 9 to 12 months before he could return, and the rumor that he was suffered a broken neck, which of course is terrible, and nobody should, and which is one of the reasons why no one's probably said anything. But reports have broken out. A Twitter account actually said that he is about 93% recovered. And little side note, the fact that it said that he is 207 pounds, which is outside of the junior division, not by a lot, right? But if he intends to be part of the junior division again, he's going to have to slim down, or it could be him subtly saying that he might be looking at the heavyweight championship picture if he does eventually return to the ring. I could see Takahashi going up against Omega. Like, my God, that would be a hell of a match, and naturally we'd have to build up to it. But man, like, Takahashi is a beloved junior heavyweight champion in the land of New Japan Pro Wrestling. I would love to see him come back as good as ever, but again, all we know is that he's nearly recovered, not quite there yet. When we hear more news, guys, you'll be the first to know. Now we cut to some really big WWE news that fresh off the desk. Apparently, the Brock Lesnar's WrestleMania 35 opponent. Who will it be, guys? Will it be Braun Strowman? Will it be the one, Drew McIntyre? Will it be Matt Riddle? None of those people. Turns out, WrestleMania 35, at the moment, it's not been. It feels like it's been confirmed now, but not at the moment. The Universal Champion Brock Lesnar will face against Seth Rollins. Now, Lesnar is scheduled right now to face off against Seth at WrestleMania, and they're going to play off Roman Reigns in some fashion. So Roman Reigns' name and illness are scheduled to continue to be used in the storylines going forward. We have had Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar in the past. I think the last time they fought in singles action, of course, was around about Battleground 2015, when Seth was the champion, and when Brock was the champion, and Undertaker kind of appeared to just kick him in the balls, and then he had that big cash in at WrestleMania later on that year. This says a few things to me. Mainly the fact that they are still using Roman Reigns' actual real life health issues as part of a storyline, which they might take a break from it in the next few months, and they might really reinvigorate it at the start of 2019. But man, it feels like they're really pushing it at the moment with Reigns and Dean Ambrose, with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, their feud, that whole psychological thing going on. This past Raw, they had Dean Ambrose say Roman Reigns is paying for his sins, which they don't need to keep using Roman Reigns, right? They keep reinforcing Roman Reigns and make sure that it feels like they don't want us to forget him, which we're not going to forget him. The guy left the ring, announced that he had this potentially fatal disease, right? Now, they keep actually using the fact that Roman Reigns has this real life, potentially fatal disease. Of course, he's beaten it before, and we wish him all the best with his health and his family, and that he will beat it once again and come back to the land of WWE stronger and better than ever with the fans all on his side. They just need to lay off Roman Reigns. This is it feels like the Eddie Guerrero situation from when Eddie Guerrero passed, and the fact that when Rey Mysterio won the World Heavyweight Championship, they really, really ran down our throats the fact that Eddie had passed. And of course, we weren't going to forget that Eddie had passed away because freaking Latino heat. But it feels like a similar situation. The fact that they don't have anything else right now that they know will help push the story forward on its own. So they're dipping into the well. They keep going back to the well of, okay, let's use this real life situation that's still making people uncomfortable, and it will still make people uncomfortable. But I feel bad for Rollins, for the fact that he shouldn't have to deal with that. But also as well, the fact that it feels like this match is kind of put together. Of course, Lesnar's had his matches against Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania, Roman Reigns twice at WrestleMania. Now it kind of feels like an obligation, the fact that he's facing off against Seth Rollins. But this kind of says a few things, because Seth Rollins is the Intercontinental Champion. He's having his feud at the moment with Dean Ambrose. If this is true, it kind of signifies that Dean Ambrose is going to walk away the Intercontinental Champion. And I'm kind of disappointed that the fact that you can kind of see exactly where their head's at if this is true. And a few other points as well. The fact that Drew McIntyre is being snubbed, that upsets me. Because the one he's had a great second run in WWE since he came back. My God. The fact that he was tag champion with Ziggler for a reason, because he's come back, he's done the DDP yoga, he's been on the indie scene. He is a beast. Him versus Lesnar would have been great to see. I would have loved that. Of course, Braun Strowman. Freaking the fact that Braun Strowman was meant to have his match against Brock Lesnar, and with his health up in the air as well, if he beats Baron Corbin and he gets his match against Brock Lesnar again, this kind of suggests that, look, he'll face off against him maybe at the Royal Rumble. And then if Brock Lesnar's still scheduled to face Seth Rollins, that means that Braun is once again going to be snubbed out of the Universal Championship picture, which, like, it feels like they really keep kicking these guys in the dick. And this match could be great if Brock Lesnar, if Survivor Series showed us anything, with him facing off against Daniel Bryan, which is a very great crafted match. The fact that we thought for just a second, Daniel Bryan would actually win that match. And it looked like Brock Lesnar got the hell out of Dodge the moment that he won that match and kind of just went like, what the hell just happened? So I'm sure, like, naturally, Seth Rollins is the best worker in WWE going on Raw at the moment, with AJ Styles being the best worker on SmackDown. These guys could craft a really great match for WrestleMania. I'm not saying that they won't, but the implications from this match, the implications of the storylines going into WrestleMania, I don't know. I'm not looking forward to this one. And the fact as well that they're going to keep ramming Roman Reigns down our throats. We'll see what happens with that, guys. Now, I mentioned AJ Styles before, and the fact that we're only just a week out of him losing the WWE Championship. There are now rumors that he is trying to negotiate a new contract with WWE, that he wants to try and get a deal similar to what the Viper Randy Orton has, where he'll get to be at home more with his kids, he'll have less shows, and of course he'll get a little bit more money from that, which the dude deserves it. Now, we were speculating last week why they would suddenly put the title onto Daniel Bryan leading up to Survivor Series, and of course, we've already seen Styles versus Lesnar before. But the fact that if this deal is to be believed, like, granted, we forget this because AJ Styles, he's the phenomenal one. He was around in TNA for over a decade. He's been with WWE for just over 3 years. He's had one of the longest reigns as WWE champion that the company's ever seen in quite some time. But the guy is 41 years old, right? And as much as, like, he is in the prime of his career, he still is great in the ring. He's probably due for a bit of time to himself. Like, he's been the guy for WWE. He's shown them that that an indie guy can be everything and more for the company if you just give them the right tools and you give them the right push. So, as much as I'm sad that AJ Styles' run as WWE champion has come to an end at this time, of course, who knows? Like, he could still be WWE champion again. Like, it's not to say that he's finished with WWE entirely, because that's not what we're saying at all. But it seems like he's trying and pump the brakes just somewhat going into 2019. So apparently it'd be he wants a 3-year deal with limited dates, and it's reported that Styles actually advocated for dropping the championship because of all the time on the road, and he just wants to spend some time with his family, which of course the guy deserves so much. And of course the extra factor as well with WWE having their Fox Sports contract coming out, and with the fiasco that was Crown Jewel and the deal with Saudi Arabia, means that there's going to be more money to deal with, more money to throw around on SmackDown and in WWE in general. So he's in the position now where he can I feel like he can kind of say, look, I've done this for you guys. And a bit of trivia that came across our desk last week: AJ Styles, since debuting at the Royal Rumble back in 2015, he has been in 32 consecutive pay-per-views. 34 if you count Crown Jewel and the Saudi Rumble earlier in the year. But he has been, since he's been on the roster, he has been part of every single pay-per-view. Is it a wonder that this guy became WWE champion? The guy is a workhorse. He has proven for over a year he's proven for the past 3 years that he can be loyal to WWE, that he can lead WWE, that the Phenomenal One will take charge and lead WWE into new horizons, right? So I am all for AJ Styles. Like, with this knowledge, because I was, of course, disheartened that his reign came to an end, give him time to his family, let him rest, let him recover, come back to SmackDown. Of course, he's got his rematch against Daniel Bryan, which that would be still a fantastic match, but give the guy a break, right? And we'll see him fresh face for 2019. Give him, let him sort out his stint with his run with WWE on his own terms before he has to take a step back and leave the boots in the ring. But we'll move on, guys, to some really weird news. I mentioned at the start as well of the podcast here, I mentioned the Cinder Block with the street fight with the Chicago street fight with MLW. This is the match. This is a match that has been circulating social media for the past week. It has literally gotten so big, and I still can't believe exactly what's happened. So if you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, over in Mexico City, Ángel Demonio threw a concrete cinder block at the head of another wrestler, Cuervo, right? This event was promoted by Lucha Memes or Lucha Boom, right? So this match, if you want to call it that, this was a hardcore match that, if you've seen the video, it is fucking graphic, where Cuervo has gone to hit Demonio with a couple chair shots, and Demonio was visibly upset by this. He let out a few kind of screams, so it looks like there was a bit of miscommunication during some parts of this. And what happened then is Cuervo starts to go around to the side of the ring, and he's just walking around, and then suddenly Demonio gets a fucking cinder block and throws it at Cuervo's head. Now, you have the hardcore matches are, of course, violent. You should not try all these things at home. You should never try these things at home. And these guys have trained for years to be able to do this. And yes, it still hurts to be hit with chairs, to be whacked with barbed wire, to have thumbtacks, to have tables, to have ladder spots, to have kendo sticks, to have the sign spot, the paper cut spots, which still make me cringe, right? As much as these things still hurt, these guys have been training and they know how to do all this more or less safely so that no one gets hurt. But this idiot in Mexico threw a fucking concrete block at a wrestler's head and it bounced right off, right? Cuervo suffered an epidural skull fracture. He was in the IC. Of course, they had an operation saying that it was a success and he'd be transferred to his local rehabilitation facility. But it's been confirmed that Demonio has been suspended from wrestling in Mexico State by the local commission. Good. There is no safe way to use a cinder block in a wrestling match. If you watch this, it's on our Facebook page and you can look it up. The fact that his head bounced right off, there was blood all on the side of the ring. It was disgusting. There was no point to this at all. Other wrestlers have come out from Mexico, like Pentagon and Rey Fenix, and some really big names in Mexican professional wrestling, and they've of course been condemning Demonio for his actions and naturally saying that the fact that he's been suspended indefinitely is the least they could do, which, Jesus Christ, yes. Now, you can see, a couple of reports. There's a gentleman named Sin Bodhi who's been commenting on Cuervo's health. Apparently, they were roommates, so he's kind of got a bit more inside story. But apparently, there was an issue communicating with each other due to language barrier, and they did their best to kind of communicate to each other during the match. But Cuervo was a bit worried, which, Jesus Christ, how the match turned out. So, Cuervo, the Demonio, apparently, he was trying to aim for Cuervo's back, which is not better. That's not an excuse, right? That's not the point that everyone is angry with him about. It's the fact that he used a fucking Cinder Block in that match, which there's neither here nor there. But yeah, the backstage antics were pretty crazy after that, with the doctors trying to hold the wound on Cuervo's head closed. Cuervo naturally would have had a concussion from that. Like Bodie's saying that he was upset that Cuervo hit him too hard with chair shots earlier in the match. And yeah, he said that he was aiming for his back, which Cinder Block to the back as well, man. Like, what would you rather? Fractured head or paralyzed? From the waist down, from the neck down. Jesus Christ. I could go on this, I could talk about this for a while, but I'd really just be repeating myself. And the Mexican Professional Boxing and Wrestling Commission have, naturally condemned this. And all the other wrestlers in Mexico have just said, like, they are looking into why this happened, how this even happened, who sanctioned the fact that Demonio would be even doing this. And he still hasn't acknowledged his actions. He's saying, like, yeah, I was meant to be aiming for his back, like, but he's not sorry for what he's done. And he's I don't think he's really assessing the situation that, dude, you're fucked. In terms of the fact that you have done something that the wrestling world is vehemently against you, despising you for. I don't know. This was really disgusting, guys. Look into it if you haven't heard about it. One of the biggest stories coming out of the wrestling world at the moment. But we'll move on to what we got. We'll move on to the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Kenny Omega. Of course, he's had a couple interviews over this past few weeks. He recently spoke to the Business Times about the topic once again about whether he would join WWE. And he kind of said a few things here, which I wanted to quote for you guys. We're going to end this with the indie guys, talking about the indie scene. But he kind of said that he kind of represents the alternative to WWE, where, and I quote, I am sort of very much a part of representing an alternative. If my motivation was money, I would already be in WWE. I was down on the current product and I wanted to create its style and have matches that my friends, my family, and other athletes could watch and enjoy. There's a certain kind of wrestling fan that will only like a certain style. They think that's the right way and that's okay, and I'm not trying to impress those people. Those people are already kind of set in their ways. I'm trying to open the world to a different style, what pro wrestling had the potential to be. And he kind of followed up by saying that never say never with me joining WWE, but he actually needs that creative outlet, which at the moment WWE will not provide. Few things to unpack there, which now all this time, like, everyone wants Kenny Omega to have these really great matches with AJ Styles again, with a whole bunch of big stars in WWE, man. Like, freaking, I would love to see Omega versus Seth Rollins. That would be a dream match. And of course, those guys are probably not going to leave to New Japan unless the rumors from the New Japan are to be believed about them trying to entice a few WWE superstars from a couple weeks back. But honestly, I don't want to see Omega join WWE. Like, this hits home with me, the fact that he does represent an alternative. He, Cody, the Young Bucks, the Elite, they represent independent wrestling. And we'll be touching about this in a few minutes' time some more, but the fact that I wouldn't want to see Kenny Omega's style changed up to the extent that it has. Like, go to Shinsuke Nakamura, and his strong style has been severely limited going into WWE land. It was okay during NXT. He had still a few spots here and there, but if you look at Shinsuke back in New Japan and Shinsuke now as the United States champion, man, his style's completely changed, and his character leading up over throughout his feud with AJ Styles with the hits to the cock. Like, I wouldn't want to see Omega go through anything like that and having to kind of aim for the brass ring going into WWE land. Like, we all know that he is the best wrestler in the world today. I feel safe in saying. But what I was going to say, he is in terms of endurance, he's the best wrestler in the world. He's up there with Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins had that big Iron Man match. But I wanted to highlight that because as much as we want to see these dream matches, Kenny Omega should do his own thing. And we should kind of just see what else these guys can do to provide us that alternative, which looks like is happening very, very soon. So a few stories before we finish up, guys. We've got a few matches announced for Ring of Honor Final Battle coming up on December 14th. So we have got Jonathan Gresham at the moment, at the time of recording, Jonathan Gresham going up against Zack Sabre Jr. We've got Bully Ray going up against Flip Gordon in an I Quit match. The ROH TV title will be on the line. Jeff Cobb defending against Hangman Page. The real world champion, Matt Taven, going up against Dalton Castle. And the main event with Jay Lethal going up against Cody for the Ring of Honor World title. This looks to be like a really exciting card. I am curious. Of course, we've got Cody coming to Australia now. He's in Australia at the time of recording for World Series Wrestling. Look after yourself, Cody. I want to see you do some great things here in Australia. I want to see you, whether or not he's finishing up with Ring of Honor soon and what his status will be going into the new year, we've yet to see. Which kind of leads me into my last topic of the evening. All Out. All in, all out, double or nothing. What am I talking about? Recently, an application was made to the title of All Elite Wrestling in Jacksonville, Florida. They filed for a goods and services trademark for a number of phrases for a new wrestling promotion. So among these phrases was AEW, All Elite Wrestling, Double or Nothing, which Cody said during All In, and AEW All Out. So we love a good conspiracy here at the B+, right? And it looks like that potentially that a new promotion is being sorted out with the guys from the Elite and potentially backed by, at this stage, Chris Jericho and Jim Ross in some capacity. Now, we commented on this a couple weeks ago, and Chris Jericho denied those rumors, which you cannot trust Chris Jericho online. The guy is a master businessman. Like, there's a reason that he has lasted for as long as he has. The fact that he is a rock star in America. The fact that he's now the IWGP Intercontinental Champion. The guy's very smart in terms of how to better himself going into the future and how to secure his position in professional wrestling, because let's face it, he's nearly 50, and it's, as much as it's impressive that he can still do all this stuff, he might want to secure some prospects where he's taking on more of a managerial position, or that he focuses more on his band career, like with his rock concerts and everything else. But all these trademarks were filed last month for the potential company, and the Elite have been speaking with talent who are not locked into exclusive contracts at other companies. So a court, reportedly, supposedly, and again, a number of the Elite's contracts with Ring of Honor and New Japan are still up in the air up to the end of December and the end of January. You've got guys like, I believe, Flip Gordon. He recently signed on again with Ring of Honor. So whether he could still do something with this potential new promotion, I don't know, but it's been reported that JR and Chris Jericho, they may not be as involved as we initially thought. Rather that they would work for the promotion if they're able to get it off the ground. And this would add further validity to the denials of both Ross and Jericho have sent out. Now, sources familiar to the situation have kind of said that Cody, the Young Bucks, who all work behind the scenes on All In, who have worked, and that they've just told Jericho and Ross that they could be talent for the promotion if all goes to plan. So I would love to see JR on commentary for a new Western wrestling promotion. Like, because there's a lot of wrestling out there in the world, right? You've got Impact, you've got Lucha, you've got Ring of Honor, you've got MLW, you've got New Japan, right? All these up and coming things, all these promotions that are like, wrestling is in one of the best positions it's ever been in, hands down. And over in America, so this is backed by the Khan family, which I'm not familiar with, but I believe they are one of the richest families in America, in the world even. And the Elite being the figureheads for a wrestling promotion could be some of the biggest competition for WWE in the Western world. And when is the last time WWE has had to really fight for its spot as the number one wrestling company, right? We've had, you remember the WCW wars, the ECW wars. There have been brief spots where other companies have tried to go to war with WWE, like Impact during the late 2000s with the reuniting of DX. And the quality, the caliber of wrestling out there now with New Japan, which I feel safe to say is on the same level of WWE in terms of like the talent, the ability of the wrestlers. It's just the platform is slowly growing. Over in Australia, like professional wrestling is getting even bigger, and we are going to have that boom that we all deserve. I can feel it, guys. But it feels like 2019, we are going to be seeing some really great stuff happening in the wrestling world in general. I am really looking forward to seeing this. Like, can you imagine JR on commentary, Chris Jericho as a chairman, with Cody, the Young Bucks, Omega, Marty Scurll, Hangman Page, Flip Gordon, like the Golden Elite, like all these guys, like SCU, Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, these guys, there are a lot of names here that could mean that the best of All In, picture all the stars from All In coming together to fight against WWE and to really push for open competition, to push for wrestling to be put further into the public eye so that the casual fan, so that the person walking down the street knows that there is a fight going on for attention, that we have the hashtag "You Will Notice Us" and Now We Conquer over here in Australia, but we can apply this to here. Like, absolutely. Jesus. I want this to be true so bad. We are on the verge of some really huge news, and I cannot wait. So we will leave this there, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what we do here, please leave us a comment. Please leave us a 5-star review. It really does make a difference here, and we would love to hear from you guys. If you would love to follow the extraordinaire of the B+, that is Greg Unchained, you can follow him at Greg Unchained on Twitter and the Greg Unchained on Instagram. If you want to follow us on the socials, we're at the B+ Wrestle on Twitter, because wrestling just would not fit, and the B+ Wrestling everywhere else. If you want to follow myself on the socials, I am Mr. Mysterious with a 1 instead of an I. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that. Like, share, subscribe, hit the 5-star review, and thank you guys so much for listening. Mysterious out.
Hold one! Arm drag!
You're not good at this. Get out. Let me tell you a personal story about Vince McMahon.
You just made the list!
So, no speak English.
Dummy!
Goodbye and good night.
Hold two! Arm bar!
This is
forbidden.
It's still real to me, damn it! Coming.
Hold 3. The moss covered. 3-handle family conundrum.
Mamma mia! It's me, Austin! It was me all along, Austin!
Number 4. Armbar.